Hello, literary explorers, and join me as we uncover the treasures hidden within the pages of a remarkable book. Today, we embark on a thrilling expedition through Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. Your feedback fuels my creativity and motivates me to keep creating great content. If you're enjoying my videos, please take a moment to show your support by liking this video and subscribing following my channel. And hey, let's have a chat in the comments section. Element 1, Chapters 1, 2. Bankruptcy 1. At age 18, Okonkwo has earned fame for himself by way of beating Emmeline the cat in a wrestling fit. For 7 years, Emmeline had long gone unbeaten. Now at 38, Okonkwo is massive and extreme, searching with a slight stammer and a short fist when indignant. He has no patience for unsuccessful guys or for his father. Although his father had died 10 years earlier, Okonkwo is still looking to outlive the shame he felt at being the son of a lazy debtor. Unokai enjoyed music, feasting, and gambling his flute. Onokai is bad. His other halves and children, together with Okonkwo, barely have sufficient to eat. Okonkwo is lucky due to the fact the people of his time choose him now not by his father's recognition, but by the reputation of his very own difficult work. He's already wealthy with 2 barns of yams and 3 wives. Since the people admire Okonkwo, he is given the process of searching after Achebe, a boy given to their city, in an agreement to forestall a struggle. Chapter. Okonkwo has just gone to bed while he hears the city crier calling all the men to meet within the metropolis market the following morning. At the meeting, Ogbuefi Ezugo tells the men that the men of Mbano had murdered a woman from their city when she went to marketplace in Mbano. The humans of Mbano are told they have to either supply a virgin and a younger boy as price for the homicide or must face battle. Okonkwo is sent because the emissary to Mbano to carry returned a boy approximately the age of 15 and a virgin. The woman is given to Ogbuefi Udo to take the region of his murdered wife, the boy, but become dispatched to live with Okonkwo till the human beings of the village decided his destiny. He lived with Okonkwo for 3 years. Greater than whatever, Okonkwo hates the matters that his father represented to him. He concerns due to the fact he sees the same laziness that his father had in his oldest son. It's Farnoy's mom who is given rate of Achebe. The boy does now not recognize why he become taken from his mother. He knows best that he and a girl had been taken from the village. He never sees the lady again. Component 1, Chapters 3, 4. Bankruptcy 3. In Bankruptcy 3, Okonkwo's father had gone to consult Agbala, the priestess, approximately his crop continually being bad. The priestess tells Onoka that he has angry no one, however, that he should move domestic and work like a man. It's Miles said that Unoke had a terrible private chai as he died of swelling. He become now not even allowed to die at domestic. Rather, he became left in the evil forest to die. Given that his father were so lazy, Okonkwo did not have a very good begin in existence. He's pressured to visit Nwakebe to beg for yam vegetation to begin his first crop. Despite the fact that Nwakebe isn't the person that might supply help to every person who asks, he is of the same opinion to assist Okonkwo. He offers him 800 yams. Running as a share, Cropper was tough for Okonkwo. He tried no longer most effective to accumulate a barn of his very own, however, also to take care of his mother and sisters. The weather is terrible, the primary 12 months that Okonkwo attempts to farm. He is surprised that he survives this first ire, however vows that on account that he did survive that year, he can live on something. Bankruptcy 4. In Bankruptcy 4, even though the men of Okonkwo's tribe appreciate him for his tough paintings and brief upward push to prosperity, they're unhappy with the manner that he treats guys who aren't as industrious as he is. The guys of the village take facets with Asugo, while Okonkwo calls him a girl until Okonkwo apologizes. It's far, but Okonkwo's sternness that makes the people of his village send him to invite for the virgin and the younger guy from Umuapia. It's also this purpose why Okonkwo is given Ikamafuna to take care of. He lives with Okonkwo for 3 years. All through this time, Ikamafuna loses his fear of Okonkwo and starts to consult him as father. Ikamafuna and Nuyi come to be inseparable. It is also for the duration of this first ire that Okonkwo breaks the peace at some stage in the Week of Peace and is punished by way of the priest of the earth goddess. Okonkwo beats considered one of his better halves after she does no longer get home in time to restore his supper. The older guys in Okonkwo's tribe talk approximately how lenient the punishment for breaking the Week of Peace has turned out to be. After the Week of Peace, Okonkwo begins to roughly educate his boys how to break up and plant yams. Notwithstanding Okonkwo's roughness, Ikamafuna starts off evolved to experience like a part of the circle of relatives. Component 1 Chapters 5, 6. Chapter 5. In Chapter 5, the humans of Umuafia are preparing for the feast of the brand new yam. Okonkwo does now not like the sitting around associated with feasts. He might, as a substitute, be working. He will become irritated due to the state of being inactive. He voices his anger whilst he sees a banana tree, a few leaves has been removed from, and demands to recognize who killed the tree. The wife who had taken the leaves tells him she took the leaves to wrap some meals in and points out that the tree continues to be alive. Okonkwo beats her. He comes to a decision to go looking. The crushed wife says something approximately his gun, and Okonkwo runs after her and shoots the gun at her. She is frightened, however unharmed. The rest of the competition goes well. The wife, who had been shot at, enjoys the competition, specifically the wrestling suit, as it turned into, at some point of Okonkwo's wrestling, fit with the cat that he had won her heart. She did no longer marry him due to the fact he became negative at the time, but later ran away from her husband to stay with him. This wife, Equifi, has one daughter, Izenma, who is smart beyond her years. As Izenma helps her mom and the opposite other halves, the drums start to beat to announce the competition. As they cook their meals fast in order that they received and be past due, they hear Obi crying outdoor. One of the more youthful boys needs to inform the real story of ways the pot broke. However, Ikamafuna stops them. The lady had without a doubt laughed when her pot broke, and Bess started crying after they entered the compound. While Izenma takes her father his food, the two have a speak. Okonkwo is very fond of Izenma, though he not often suggests his affection. Chapter 6. In Chapter 6, the wrestling matches and the crowd's response to them are described. For a quick at the same time as Equifi talks to Chielo approximately Izenma. Ikwefi tells Chielo her daughter is now 10 and is doing properly. Chielo suggests she believes the girl will stay as she has reached that age. Element 1, Chapter 7, 8, Bankruptcy 7. In Chapter 7, Ikamafuna has turned out to be a part of Okonkwo's own family in the 3 years that he has lived with them. The boy has started a preference in Nuyi to be masculine, like Okonkwo. Okonkwo is happy with his son for this new preference. Even though Nuyi knows that he is supposed to take a seat, along with his father, and listen the stories that he tells approximately violence and bloodshed. He misses the testimonies that his mom used to tell him. The locusts come this ire. Okonkwo, Nuyi, and Ikamafuna see those creatures headed for their village at the same time as they are putting new palm branches and palm leaves on the outer partitions of their compound. The people are glad the locusts are coming due to the fact the insects are accurate to eat. One night, as Okonkwo is feasting at the locust with Noi and Ikamafuna, Ogbifi Izudu involves him and warns him now not to assist within the boys coming dying. Okonkwo lies and tells Ikamafuna that he can be taken back to his former domestic. Ikamafuna senses that he will not see his mother and sister once more as he has been promised. It's miles as Ikamafuna is thinking about seeing his mother again that he stops and looks back at the guys. Considered one of them tells him to appearance ahead. He hears the blow of the machete. Cries that he has been killed and runs in the direction of Okonkwo. Now, not looking to be thought susceptible, Okonkwo finishes killing the boy. While Okonkwo returns domestic, Nui knows that Ikamafuna is dead. He feels the identical way that he felt while he first heard the cries of dual toddlers that had been thrown away. Chapter 8. In Bankruptcy 8, Okonkwo does now not eat, nor does he sleep at nighttime after Ikemafuna's death. He'll simplest drink palm wine. On the third day, Izema brings him roasted plantains and tell him he has to devour them. As he eats, he thinks that Izema had been a boy. He thinks briefly, approximately Ikamafuna, and needs that he had some paintings to do to take his thoughts off the boy. He visits his friend Obierika and stocks with him. His worries approximately Nuji's weakness. He concerns that his sons will now not develop up to be like him. Obierika tells him that he's disturbing too quickly as the boy is still younger. Even though the men assume that Noi has an excessive amount of his grandfather in him, neither places voice to the thoughts. Okonkwo questions why Obierika did no longer come with them to kill the boy. Obierika warns Okonkwo again he shouldn't have been part of the killing because it turned into, for actions like that, the earth goddess killed complete households. They prevent arguing only when Obierika's son, Ofoedu, comes to tell them that Ogbuefi Ndulu, in addition to his oldest spouse, Ozomina, have each died. The belief of the bankruptcy describes the customs that accompany the method of agreeing upon a bride charge and getting ready for a marriage. The guys use broom straws to determine the bride rate, believing that is the satisfactory way, and different customs are backward. Element 1, Chapters 9-10. Chapter 9. In Bankruptcy 9, Okonkwo is subsequently able to sleep. He is awakened the following morning via Equifi banging on his door, telling him that Izema is demise. Okonkwo goes with her to, in which Ezenma is suffering with a fever. Equifi has had 10 kids, 9 of which died before they turned 3. The humans of the village, except as true with Equifi, is haunted by way of an Ogbanje, an evil toddler who dies, however enters its mom's womb to be born again. The family follows every kind of rituals to preserve the Ogbanje from returning, but each time they're upset. It turned into no longer until Izema had lived past her 6th year that her mom had believed the kid, which still became ill intermittently, could in reality survive. Okonkwo tries to physician the child with barks from medicinal timber and shrubs. The lady in the end sleeps. Bankruptcy 10. In Chapter 10, the guys accumulate for a trial out of doors, the Igwugwu. No ladies are allowed inside the Igwugwu. The girls who had accumulated disappear as quickly as the Egwugwu appear. Okonkwo is one of the guys dressed because the gods. Uzowulu is accusing his in-laws of beating him up and taking his wife and kids. Given that his wife has now not again to him, Uzowulu reasons that her bride charge need to be back to him. Odukwe, but tells the court that Uzowulu is a beast and beat his spouse each day, once inflicting her to miscarry. Evil Forest tells Uzowulu to take his in-laws, a pot of wine, and beg that his wife be returned to him. He tells the in-legal guidelines that if Uzowulu does this, they have to return his spouse. Element 1, chapters 11, 12. Chapter 11. In Bankruptcy 11, after supper, Equifi tells Ezinma a story approximately a tortoise who hints birds into taking him to a ceremonial dinner. The birds get their revenge after they direct the tortoise to jump from the sky. He does not die, however, his shell breaks, explaining why the tortoise's shell has cracks. Ezinma starts off evolved to tell a story, but is interrupted whilst Chielo, the priestess, starts to prophesy. She tells Okonkwo that Agbala desires to see Ezinma. Okonkwo first asks Chielo to come back the following day. Then, Akrufi needs to be allowed to go with them. Both requests are denied. Ezinma is placed on Chielo's return. Despite the fact that she has been told now not to, Equifi follows Chielo and Ezinma. As soon as Chielo senses Equifi is following her and threatens her, telling her she should go returned home. Equifi does now not go away. She simplest increases the gap among the two of them. When Chielo and Ezinma disappear into the cave of Agbala, Equifi sits all the way down to wait. She swears that if she hears her child cry, she can go into the cave to try to store her. As she waits, Okonkwo walks up behind her. Equifi is grateful that Okonkwo has come. They wait together. Equifi recollects when she ran away to Okonkwo, and he had taken her into his bed. Bankruptcy 12. In chapter 12, Obiarika is celebrating his daughter's Yuri. Cooking preparations are interrupted for a brief, even as in order that the ladies can go and capture a cow that has gotten out. The remainder of the chapter info the festivities and rituals related to a marriage. On the stop of the day, Okonkwo is one of the men to whom the bride and groom pay a unique go-to. Okonkwo gives the couple a present of 2 cocks. Element 1, Chapter 13. Bankruptcy 13. In Bankruptcy 13, the information is spread that Esudu, the person who warned Okonkwo now not to get concerned in Ikemafuna's loss of life, is useless. This chapter describes the rituals associated with a warrior's funeral. The funeral is violent and tumultuous with evil ghosts and banging drums. Weapons are fired as spirits seen. Close to the give-up of the funeral, after the ultimate gun salute, the crowd falls silent due to the fact Okonkwo's gun has exploded, accidentally killing Izudu 16, 12 months, antique son. Even though the dying changed into an accident, Okonkwo and his family are pressured to run from their village. He and his better halves are trying to find refuge in Okonkwo's momland for the desired 7 years. Despite the fact that the men of the village do not assume badly of Okonkwo, they ruin his domestic and kill his cattle because it is a part of the necessities of the earth goddess. When they have finished the requirements, Obiarika thinks approximately what they have got accomplished and mourns for his friend due to what came about to him accidentally. He also mourns the loss of his twin children, whom he realizes did nothing incorrect. Element 2, Chapters 14, 15. Chapter 14. In Chapter 14, Okonkwo is welcomed into his mother's fatherland by his uncle, Yushendu. He's given land to construct a domestic for himself and huts for his wife. He is likewise given land to farm and yam seeds to begin his new farm. Okonkwo works tough to begin his new farm, however, without the hearth and exuberance that he had in kids. He is depressed because he has missed his danger to grow to be one of the first-rate lords of his clan. After the final confession, right for the female who's marrying his youngest son, Yushindu speaks to Okonkwo approximately his depression. It is in a gathering of the men that Yushindu asks Okonkwo why the people say that mother is supreme. He tells him that it's far because, as the mom is an area of consolation and refuge for a kid, the motherland is likewise a place of refuge for a grown-up. He warns Okonkwo that it is wrong for him to have this kind of sorrowful outlook on existence and refuse to find consolation in his motherland. He tells Okonkwo that he need to deal with himself so that he and his better halves and youngsters can go back to their domestic in 7 years and no longer die in exile. He also reminds Okonkwo that he is not the best person with problems and sorrows, however that others, like himself, who has lost 20 children and lots of other halves, have found a way to transport want. Chapter 15. In Bankruptcy 15, Obiarika visits Okonkwo at some stage in his 12 months of exile. Okonkwo introduces Obiarika to Yushindu. Obiarika tells them that the extended family of Abame has been wiped out. He says that a strange white man driving an iron horse had come to the city. Their oracle warned them this man might destroy the clan and spread destruction. To hold this from going on, they kill the man and tie his iron horse to a tree. Later, when the alternative white guys come searching out the first one, they discover the pony. They arrive again later on, a complete marketplace day, and shoot all, however, a few people inside the metropolis. Obiarika also brings Okonkwo the cash he has earned for selling his yams. Component 2, Chapter 16-17. Bankruptcy 16. In Chapter 16, 2 years later, Obiarika visits Okonkwo to tell him that missionaries have come to Umuafia. These new missionaries have converts. However, none of them are men of electricity in the clan. It's Miles. Believe the new religion will no longer ultimate. Obiarika, however, has seen Okonkwo's son, Nui, with the missionaries. Okonkwo will now not talk about Nui, but the boy's mother tells the story. When the white guys had come to Mbanta, all of the people had long gone out to see them. The person tells them that their gods are fake. The men snort. On the quit of his speak, Okonkwo is determined that the person is mad. Nui, however, likes the poetry of the religion. Chapter 17. In Bankruptcy 17, the missionaries ask the rulers of Mbanta for an area they can construct a church. Yushindu decided to provide the missionaries a portion of the village's evil forest to construct their church. The people of Mbanta are surprised, whilst the missionaries don't die after the primary numerous days inside the evil forest. It is after this that they start to appeal to converts. Despite the fact that Nui has been interested in the faith given that he first heard the missionaries, he does not cross into the church for worry of the evil woodland. As time is going on, and the limit which it was believed that the gods could no longer allow men to head on denying them passes, some other numerous converts are delivered to the congregation alongside the primary woman. Since the girl has given birth to twins 4 instances, no person in the village is genuinely sad to look her be part of the Christians. It is Amikwu who tells Okonkwo that Nui is putting out with the Christians. Whilst Okonkwo sees Nui subsequent, he grasps his son with the aid of the neck. Whilst Nui does now not tell his father where he has been, his father hits him with a stick. Nui will still no longer tell, but Yushindu yells at Okonkwo to go away, Nui alone. Nui leaves his father and tells the missionaries that he wants to go to Umuafia. Okonkwo thinks briefly about destroying the church together with his machete, but makes a decision that Nui isn't worth the attempt. He wonders briefly if Nui is even his son, however realizes that the boy is an excessive amount of like his own father. Element 2, chapters 18-19. Bankruptcy. 18. In chapter 18, the villagers of Imbanta are worried approximately the missionaries, however believe that they will now not be punished for their sins. It is not till 3 of the converts come into the village and claim they will burn the shrines of the village gods that they villagers harm any of those people. They beat the men, and after that, not anything takes place for a long time among the human beings of the village and the missionaries. The villagers quickly study that the missionaries have set up their personal government to protect themselves. They have even hanged one man who killed a missionary. Due to the fact the converts are nonetheless extended family members, if a convert kills considered one of them, they must flee the clan. The church, meanwhile, is coping with the logistics of admitting outcasts into the church. Despite the fact that, as a minimum, one clan member leaves the church whilst outcasts are allowed in, many live. The outcasts are satisfied to shave their hair and after they don't die. A lot of them be a part of the church and grow to be the most dependable individuals. It is these outcasts that cause severe problem among the church and the village, whilst the sacred python is killed by way of considered one of them. Okonkwo tells the men of the village that the missionaries and their converts must be driven from the village. Some other, but shows they pretend like what came about become no longer visible. In the long run, the humans determined to ostracize the Christians. Whilst the ladies prepare to smooth the church in observance of Easter, they examine the people of the village have outlawed them from getting chalk, pink earth, and water. The converts inform their leader that they've in no way heard of all people ever being debarred from the flow or the quarry. Although the men need to punish the clansmen, they learn that Okoli is lifeless. He is the one who allegedly killed the sacred python. The human beings of the village agree with, after this, that it has become acknowledged that their gods are in a position to take care of themselves and do not worry about the missionaries anymore. Bankruptcy. 19. In Bankruptcy 19, the years of Okonkwo's exile are coming to an quit. He sends money to Obiarika to build him 2 new huts on his vintage belongings. Okonkwo prepares a huge banquet to thank the human beings of his motherland for taking care of him throughout his exile. The oldest member makes a speech, telling the organization that he is concerned about the younger individuals of the own family due to the fact he doesn't feel they understand the bond of own family. He says this is why they now have an extraordinary religion that has grown up among them. Part 3, chapters 20-20. Chapter 20. In chapter 20, whilst Okonkwo returns to his extended family, he knows that the places that he as soon as held were stuffed by other people, but he has been making plans go back to his village ever when you consider that his exile commenced. While Okonkwo's exile first began, it appeared that his luck had modified. Then, he had lost his first son to the new faith. He warns his other sons of their outcomes if they determine to follow the new faith as Nui did. His one regret is that his daughter, Izaima, became now not a boy as she appears to apprehend him exceptional. Even though she may be very stunning and has had many suitors, she has turned each of them down because she is aware of that her father wishes her to marry someone in Umuopia. Azema encourages her 1-2 sister to wait as well. Okonkwo plans for the 2 to marry influential guys in the network. The network has changed on the grounds that Okonkwo turned pressured into exile. Achebe, one of the most influential men within the network, has joined the new faith. The white guys have also installation of government in court, where a district commissioner judges instances. Although Okonkwo thinks the human beings of his village must bind together and run the Christians out of the town, Obierka tells him that they're too deeply ingrained in the society already. He believes they could be worn out similar to the village of Abam. He tells Okonkwo that the white men do now not understand nor do they observe the Nigerian customs. Due to the fact the participants in their extended family have joined the Christians, the clans cannot work collectively as they as soon as did. He tells Okonkwo the final results of a person who killed any other in a dispute over a chunk of land. The person is captured and hanged by way of the white guys. Bankruptcy 21. In chapter 21, among the human beings in the extended family do now not assume as badly of the new religion and the white men as Okonkwo does. The head missionary attempts to maintain the Christians from anxious the human beings of the extended family as low as possible. Mr. Brown takes the time to try to recognize the ideals of the Nigerians. He makes use of what he has learned approximately the humans to inspire them to send their kids to his college. Quickly, adults in addition to kids start attending the school. Terrible fitness, however, causes Mr. Brown to ought to leave the church. Okonkwo's go back does now not make the impact on his village that he hoped that it'd have. In reality, the village has changed so much that Okonkwo barely recognizes it. He additionally has to wait years before he can introduce his sons into Ounce's society. Okonkwo grieves for his clan, as well as for the warlike men who had lived in his village. He believes they have ended up like women. Element 3, chapters 22-23. Chapter 22. In chapter 20, Mr. Brown is succeeded by a person who sees things both as evil or accurate. He desires large numbers of converts and is sad with the lack of knowledge many people in the church nevertheless have. He suspends one girl from the church because she permits her husband to mutilate her infant, which is thought to be evil. Due to his attitudes, those converts whom Mr. Brown had tried to restrain and allowed to flourish. This kind of humans is Enoch, who will become liable for bringing to a furor a conflict between the church and clan in Umuafia. At the day of worship of the earth goddess, the men have asked the Egwagwu to withdraw so that the girls can move domestic. They're doing so, however, Enoch calls out an offense that keeps them from retiring. One of the guys hits Enoch with his cane. Enoch pulls off the man's masks. Within the ideals of the extended family, Enoch has killed one of the spirits. They believe that the mother of spirits weeps for her son that night. The following day, all the Egwugwu from Umuofia, in addition to a few from neighboring villages, gathers and heads for Enoch's compound. The nighttime earlier than, the Christians had met with Mr. Smith. He seems afraid of the Nigerians for the first time. They pray and decide to hide Enoch within the parsonage. The Igwu wreck Enoch's compound, then circulate directly to the church. Mr. Smith meets the spirits even though he wants to run away. Mr. Smith's interpreter, Okeke, comes and stands beside him. The spirits rush the two guys, but component when Ejofaya, the pinnacle Egwu, starts off the fov to talk. He tells Okeke that because they preferred Mr. Brown, they will not damage Mr. Smith, but that they'll damage the church. The spirits are briefly pacified by using burning the church. Bankruptcy 23. In Bankruptcy 23, Okonkwo seems to feel happiness again. He is thrilled due to the fact the guys have listened to him and Feature finished something substantial to discourage the Christians. The pastor and district commissioner meet. Then the messengers invite the leaders of Umuafia to satisfy with him. Okonkwo is most of the 6 leaders known as to meet with the district commissioner. Under the guise of hearing their story, 12 men that the commissioner has referred to as arrest the leaders of Umuafia. They're informed they may be released as quickly as they pay a nice of 100 baggage of cowries. Despite the fact that the court messengers are advised to treat the guys with appreciate, they shave the men's heads as soon because the commissioner is gone. They're given not anything to devour or drink and aren't allowed to apply the toilet. The messengers overhear the guys speaking about killing, and certainly one of them hits each of the guys numerous instances with a stick. The people of Umuafia are instructed that if they do not pay the fines, their leaders may be hung. That night, the village of Umuafia is quiet and scared until the crier calls the men to a morning meeting. The men decide to pay the high quality, though they don't recognize the messengers have raised the first rate by 50 luggage. Part 3, chapters 24-25. Chapter 24. In chapter 24, Okonkwo and the other men are let out as quickly because the pleasant is paid. They do not listen to the district commissioners communicate about peace and right government. Each man goes to his personal compound. Azimma has meals ready while her father returns home, and he eats to delight her and the opposite buddies who are there. That nighttime, the metropolis crier calls that any other meeting has been scheduled for the subsequent morning. Okonkwo gets his struggle tools ready. He wants vengeance for the manner he became dealt with in court. Okonkwo plans to avenge himself if his community as a whole comes to a decision against warfare. The market is crowded whilst Okonkwo and Obiarika arrive. Okonkwo is pleased by using the range of guys who are there, but is sad that Iganwan is there as nicely. Okika is the primary to talk at the assembly. He tries to convince the guys they must combat, although it would require them to fight against their brothers, something their fathers might by no means have completed. There's an unexpected stir as 5 courtroom messengers method, the meeting. Okonkwo, who is sitting near the threshold of the guys, jumps up and confronts the top messenger. The messenger orders to be allowed to bypass. He says the white guys have ordered the meeting be stopped. Okonkwo uses his machete to split the person's head from his frame. He all of a sudden knows that the guys will now not go to conflict. They don't apprehend why he has acted as he has. Chapter 25. In Bankruptcy 25, Okonkwo isn't at his compound when the white guys come looking for him. The men amassed at Okonkwo's obi provide to reveal the guise in which Okonkwo is. They take the men to wherein Okonkwo is, hung himself. They hope that the white guys will help them take his frame down and bury it. They provide an explanation for simplest strangers can cope with the body of someone who has committed suicide. Obiarika tells the commissioner that Okonkwo became one of the finest guys within the village, driven to kill himself by using the white guys. The commissioner thinks that the story will make an exciting addition to the ebook. He is making plans to write approximately the Nigerian human beings.